1. Here we go. What is up? It's your boy jonni.shreve. I have BB promos to tell like it is. Welcome back to another podcast uncut. Today, guys, we're gonna rant a little bit before we get started. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe and notification button so the next time I put a video, you'll be the first ones to get it. Put on some quality stuff here, some vulnerable, transparent stuff. Also, guys, make sure you guys get my ebook. The Ultimate Push-Pull Legs Training ebook is out right now on my site, jonni.shreve.com. Head there right now and pick it up. We are doing some exciting things with that book, upgrades, updates. All the information will always be continuously upgrading the book, so you're always getting some like really new information, whatnot. You know, almost like when you get updates for your phone. You know, something new and happens to your phone, all of a sudden it has a different feature. Same thing is gonna happen to the book. Anyway, let's get it started. So I want to talk about the Arnold on my own, my experience, and the issue we have with bodybuilding as a whole. And I'm talking about bodybuilding as in, like, when I say bodybuilding, I mean, like, you know, the open bodybuilder, that class, and the issue we have in that class and the entire sport as a whole. So I'm watching the Arnold, and literally, I'm glad I found this video, but like, you could literally hear, you know, the bodybuilders getting like literally shit on. And if anyone watched it, they heard Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he was on during the classic in bodybuilding. And all you could hear was just like, you know, you got to work on the posing, got to work on the vacuum, you know, calves back in the day, this and that and the other. And even like, you know, Arnold's saying stuff like, you know, the guys have to take the stuff, they have to take way more of the stuff, you know, than these guys, they can't control the waist and blah, blah, blah. I don't even know why my guy started to sound almost like he's, you know, the way, yeah, it almost sounded like that for a minute, like it was from Jersey or something. Anyway, my Arnold sounds like he's from Jersey, so my Arnold's from Jersey, whatever. And I'm like, okay, first of all, as anyone watch this, and everyone, you know, everyone in this industry is like, you know, we want to see bodybuilding become, you know, mainstream. We want to be able to have it, you know, on TV, whatever, you know, just be taken more serious as a legitimate sports organization. It's not this kind of niche little thing, you know, just in the background doing its thing and whatever. And we're trying to like get the sport to be more towards that, this and that and the other. And if you're an outsider watching this, all you do is first of all, you're watching it and you're like, isn't this show named after Arnold Schwarzenegger? And you're like, yeah, definitely. Like, so why is he shitting on the bodybuilders? Wasn't he a bodybuilder too? Well, like, yeah. And it's like the entire time. And like, you couldn't even like really even hear much come out of Dennis James and Amanda Latona's mouth for a bit, because Arnold literally, there's one point when Arnold was literally speaking the entire time, and like Cedric and Grillen doing his best to kind of like, you know, keep the dialogue going, or just like almost like fanboying the whole time. You just heard more and more and more of them like just talking about, you know, posing and like how the bodybuilders, you know, how he wishes he could be, you know, more aesthetic and then have to be as big and that and the other, while you're watching the open class bodybuilders on stage. And you're like, if you're anybody watching this, and this is the cream of the crop, this is the class that gets paid the most, this is the class that everybody are coming to watch, and you're hearing probably the biggest icon of bodybuilding, period, shit on the bodybuilders, and then give all this extra praise and stuff to the classic. Now, the classic guys are amazing. They're dope. They're awesome. They, you know, give them all the praise, whatever. Me and Greg were talking about bodybuilding the other day, we were talking about more so of like, you know, conditioning. That's just hard work, period. Okay, cool, right? Awesome. Conditioning's one thing, that's just hard work. But like, these guys were talking about these guys just like, you know, just almost ripping them apart. And people are like, you know, most of the time it's like, you know, back in the day this, back in the day that, the old physiques this, the old physiques that. And, you know, we also have to look at why these things are happening. You know, why have the physiques got that way? And it's not the bodybuilder's fault at all. It's not. And there's a couple things that happen, you know, have just, you know, recently happened. A couple videos went out about like, you know, the judging panel, whatnot, you know, the judging score sheets and how they're, you know, how to read them and how you know, you can add them up and this and that and the other. And there's not much transparency in it. And you look at that and like, that literally is the reason why bodybuilding has gotten, you know, to the point where it has, where people now are just shitting on it more so than just praising it. The bodybuilders have nothing to go off of when it comes to what they're supposed to get better at other than a score sheet. So you get the score sheet and you have this like you have the sheet with a list of names and you got a list of numbers. So like, Bob Ciccolaro basically went on yesterday or today and kind of clarified exactly how things are, scored basically, and how people got all wrong to begin with, because most of the time people really don't even know that they dock off the high and the low number. Then you get like that, whatever numbers left over, that so many judges are actually, their scores have counted. So for, we have it like basically in Canada here, so for the most part, you have like, 7 judges and the high and lows are marked off, and yet left off with 5 judges. And this, there's actually 9 judges, and then the top 4 scores, to top 2 and the bottom 2 are knocked off. So so it's less bias or whatever. Either way, doesn't matter. You're still getting a score of perfect of a 5. So that's only people's marks are being judged are the 5. So, or counted, right? So you look at this and like, okay, look, the bodybuilders did their thing. Right now, the best of the best right now is Nick Walker. He got a perfect score, right? So Nick Walker got a perfect score. All judges say that he got number 1. So number 1 means, 5 judges gave number 1. That gives him a score of 5. Perfect score. So when you get the sheet back and you're Ian or you're, I don't know, Justin Rodriguez or you're Steve Kukl or you're Sergio or Hassan or whatever it is, all you know is for me to get a 5, I need to look like Nick or better. So that means I have to have more muscle and be drier. Like, Nick's got a great physique. In terms of like, it's got a lot of muscle. It flows well when he poses, but he's not that aesthetic. He can pose and make his physique look really well. And that's what makes really good poses. And that's why he got the score he did when it comes to posing. I'll talk about that after. But again, that's all you get. When you get back, you get your, you get your feedback from the judges. If you do, it's literally going to be like, do this and this. And it'll be like, get bigger. You got to beat this guy. So the standard is made for the guy who has the least amount of points on there. The same with every other show. So the sport is going to go to the place where the judges reward that look. And then that look ends up getting shit on because people want the judging of the old days when things have changed. So it's like, fine, that's cool. I get it. So that's fine. But if we want to keep the physiques in check, and then we have this whole thing where, my issue was, this is the only show that is judged in their posing round. Now, I think that every class should be judged from posing. Like every single show, the posing round 100% should be judged. When it comes to this, you look at the scores, you're looking at, Sergio. I'm looking at more so of like arguing. I think the scores are good the way they are, how they place them. I think that's how they should have been placed. But taking consideration, having the posing round should have weighed more, or I don't know how it's weighed. It should have been weighed to make things a little more different in the end. Like the outcome should have been a little more different. So if you look at someone like Akeem Williams and Sergio, right, there's a $10,000 to $15,000 win right there. There it is. Sixth and fifth is $5,000 difference. Sergio's routine was light years better than everyone else's routine. He got the actual, he won best posing routine. So his routine itself, there's an award for the routine itself and a cash prize. But that apparently doesn't do anything for Sergio's score, because if he's going to win the overall best poser, I feel like that win that win should have given him enough leverage to pushing him over to having that 5th spot and getting that extra $5,000 that he lost out on getting. You know what I mean? So you're looking at it, it's like, okay, you're not really getting judged on your routine. The thing is that the guys are getting judged not on the routine, but on their physiques while posing to a routine. See, there you go, right? So it doesn't matter if Sergio's doing backflips and doing like a legitimate fitness routine. If he doesn't look as sharp as Nick does, he's not going to score. That's why Nick's score had the best score when it came to his finals, his routine. He got 5. All the judges said that he had the best routine. Why? Because his physique was the best, and he translated his physique to posing itself through his routine. And that's what solidified his points and score to get his score and to win first place. But again, it's like, what's the point? So like, you don't really have to work on a routine. So when it comes down to a fact, like, when it comes to doing certain routines, you're going to want to have a physique that you can do certain poses and routines. There's like so many more poses outside the mandatory poses. There's 1,000 times, there's not 1,000, there's like at least 20 different poses to each one of the poses you do in your mandatories. And you can literally just kind of like not do any of them, but just your mandatories, as long as physique looks good and you're good to go. So there's no point of actually doing a routine. There's no point of actually having a posing routine or a round. And then on top of that, if you want the physiques to go a certain way, you got to judge them on their, like, so put it this way. Open bodybuilding is not being judged the same way as classic. I can tell you this. They're probably judged in the same way, but the way they're looked at is a lot different and judged. Here's my thing. When you're looking at classic physique guys pose, and I can guarantee you if one of those guys' stomach kind of goes out for 1 point, just a little bit, I can guarantee they get docked way harder than they would have from an open bodybuilder standpoint. I bet you any money. I can guarantee you that they mark the classic physique guys a lot harder in holding their actual poses a lot better or more so than they do than the bodybuilders, or they're expected to hold them longer, or whatever it is. The expectation, I think, is a lot harder on the bodybuilders in the classic physique category because they have to represent the classic look. Here's the thing. Classic physique is just something from bodybuilding. Bodybuilding has always been classic. It's just the physique, the classic physiques of those days, but the posing shouldn't change. So if you're going to make them pose a certain way, or to be able to, present what they have that way in that art, you're holding them to a higher ground in the, presenting it in an art, way, an artful way, whatever, artistic way, whatever it is. This should be the same for bodybuilding. Because how much less food are you eating, or trying to carb up on, or whatever it is, or how much size you're not trying to put on, or is necessary if you need to be able to hold poses longer, your stomach and more, this and that and the other. You can't shit on bodybuilding because you judge it a certain way that allows for it to become the way it has to today. The shitting, I'm not saying go and shit on the judges, but that should be the change. Okay, this year, we're not gonna, because you can easily change things around by being like, look, I'm looking for more of a classic physique look, bodybuilding look that's in the open class. So if you're open class and you're classic physique looking, you have, that's what we're going to make. That's what we want the open class to look like. Still muscular, still big, all that good stuff, but has to be, with poise and elegance, and you should be able to hold your pose and be able to, you should be able to maybe not hit a vacuum, but hold your core in when you're doing, whatever. Then you see the class change. I'm not saying it needs to go there. I'm not saying you need to just change things up so it cancels out guys who aren't genetically gifted with, smaller waists or whatever else like that, and they've done their job of making a physique, because I think that's the thing. I think that's the whole thing about bodybuilding, is being able to create a physique with what you have genetically for you. So most of the guys on stage, they are genetically gifted to be able to build a lot of muscle, but not all of them are genetically gifted with really small waists. Not everybody looks like Regan Grimes on stage, or like a Cedric McMillan. You know what I mean? Either way, if you want to change that class, you have to change the way it's judged and be more transparent about what you want to see as the person returns and they want to, get better, progress in the off season. Because if I get this, and I have got it as a competitor, and the only thing I can do really is actually go to the judges, and a lot of judges have actually told me, and if you ask, most people do and some people don't, but if you actually do ask the judges, I remember Tamer, Sandy, Steve, they've all given me good feedback, like, this is what you need to change, right? But again, it comes down to the end. If a certain guy wins, if a certain guy comes in drier than everybody else in condition, they can hold his poses longer and better, and he just happens to be a little blockier, he happens to be Branch Warren or Nick Walker, sorry guys, he wins, and he should deserve to win. But if we're going to be putting posing rounds in there and, and jacking on guys for, their posing and, getting on them and shitting on them and everything else, then you should make posing that much more of a heavier weight in points that can actually turn this whole thing out. Because I think when it comes down to it, if anybody in this in this list should have been changed. It should have been Sergio. Unless Sergio's physique wasn't like here's my thing. If Sergio and Akeem are like here and here, they're fifth and sixth in points. Actually, when it comes down to even from the first and second rounds. But the routine, if the routine's better and he's only, I think that should have pushed him, and that should have happened. So you can, and you should be able to say, hey, Akeem, you would have actually came a little more, you would have definitely solidified that, fifth spot if you would have, if your routine had a little bit more effort into it, you held the pose a little longer, you know what I'm saying? You had, you were a little more, presentable to the crowd, and then he's like, okay, sweet. Okay, next year. So everything I've been doing so good so far, next year, I got to work on, getting obviously coming a lot more leaner for sure. And then if my routine's good, I'm definitely going to win the, then you have a clear cut of what you need to do in order to, but I don't think that's there. And if I think that if that was actually present, more, prevalent in all of contests, you're looking at a completely different, more entertaining IFBB Pro League in the bodybuilding class. That's my take on it. But like I said, man, to watch that, the Arnolds, and just listen to Arnold just shit on the. You want to make this, we want to take this sport to higher. We got to be on the same page to lift each other up, to be able to bring each other up in this sport. And I know it's an individual thing, but we need to treat it a little more like a team thing. Like as all athletes, organizers, event planners, sponsors, like most sponsors and everything else, they've been bodybuilders, right? So, you got to look at it like how would I want the league to get better? How would you make the IFBB professional league more entertaining? Give me the answer down there. Answer down in the comments. I want to hear the conversation. What could be done to make bodybuilding as a whole, as a competitive whole, more interesting, more entertaining? Answer below. Anyway, guys, hope you liked the video. If you did, guys, make sure you guys like, subscribe, and share. Become a tell like it is, transparent, vulnerable, transparent truth. I think I said it already. Anyway, for coaching, jonni.shreve.com, guys, make sure you head over to my site right now and grab the Ultimate Push-Pull Legs Training ebook. It is out. Grab it right now, guys. And if you want to know about coaching, book a phone consult, 15 or 30 minutes. At the end of that 30 minutes or 50 minutes, I deduct the phone consult off any package you pick, be it a one-time plan or a recurring plan, but not the ebook. That's full of info. Grab it anyway. Guys, use my code Johnny15 for 15% off the Power 13 cookbook. Also use my code Johnny for 50% off fitarmy.com. Again, guys, use my code Johnny30 for 30% off. Let's get checked. I'm going to do an actual video on that, guys, on how important it is for you guys to really be getting your hormones and everything checked, your blood work, getting that done, making sure that you guys are all healthy on the inside as well as the outside, guys. Use my code Johnny30 at letsgetchecked.com. And guys, add me on Instagram and TikTok. Yes, I'm on TikTok. Add me on both. Send me your progress pics, your foodie clips, training video tips, or clips, whatever it is, guys. Send me some recommendations of some videos you want me to do or coaching up. Send me some videos you want me to coach up. Send me those, guys. And I'll repost for you and I'll do a video for you. Because you know how it is. Iron sharpens iron, progressive overload your life. In the meantime, keep gym chasing. Peace.